Okay. Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, August edition. Very excited to be here. Very excited to talk about stuff. And today's guest, there is no guest. This is a classic episode of Talking Tongue where, this is where the show began. It was just me being like, I need to talk about movies and all the cool shit that I saw, and I gotta get that out of my brain and into the world because I moved and I didn't have anyone to talk to at that point except for Laura. I love her, but there's, sometimes she doesn't want to talk about all the nerdy stuff that I get up to. But hey, how are you guys? Talking Tongue, the Facebook Live show, then turned into an audio podcast all about take off your shirt. Laura is watching right now. She says, take off your shirt. That is very demeaning. But okay, if the people ask for it, no, it doesn't play on an audio medium. For those listening at home on the podcast version, it's not fair to them. They want to also be able to see my shirt being taken off. So you know what? Next time, people, come onto the Facebook Live, Facebook version, and join the stream. You can actually chat with me about all these crazy things. It's like that's happening every month. Every month is an adventure. And sometimes it's old news because when you do a monthly show like this, it just ends up being like, oh, Tongue, you should have talked about this. It was relevant like a week ago. And I think the problem with this, with the monthly show is I tend to forget what actually happens on it's like I saw this movie, I really like it, I should have wrote notes, and then the day of the show I'm like, oh crap, I'm doing the show, okay, trying to remember what happened. So it may not be the most recappy scene by scene review of these movies that I've seen, but hey, you come for my hot takes, and that's fine, and that's cool. Okay, so we have some really exciting topics to go over today, but let's talk about let's round up the news. I wrote a whole thing about all the cool stuff that's happened in the month of August, all pop culture related. We stay out of politics here. I think one episode I touched on like politics and I felt gross because I'm not equipped to talk about politics whatsoever. So that's fine. All right, so news roundup. It's the news roundup time. And as you can see, I'm live editing this too, and without a guest beside me, this is the last excuse, I swear. It's really tough to bounce off someone else's idea. So, people at home, if you want to say hi, you want to interact with me, then go for it. This is what the show's all about. All right, news roundup. The Addams Family has a new animated movie. The Addams Family, famously, has been around for a very long time, and I don't think I've seen a newer version of the Addams Family since I was in, I want to say, middle school. So that was quite a long time ago. But looks like an animated movie. I don't really know who's in it, but they're making one. Little Women, new Greta Gerwig movie. Same director as Lady Bird, starring an all-star cast with Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet, who's not a woman, of course. The other women would be Saoirse Ronan, Meryl Streep, and Florence Pugh. And then there's other people too. So that's coming out during Christmas. So a nice little Christmas present for us, a new Greta Gerwig movie. That's really exciting. Another thing that happened is the Mulan boycott. The Mulan boycott was that was earlier this month. That was an insane time because when the Mulan trailer dropped, everyone's like, including myself, I'm like, holy shit, Mulan looks awesome. They're doing something new. I am so excited for this. And then the controversy hit. It's just like, oh man, this is scary because there's a whole thing. I said I would stay out of politics, but there's a whole thing happening in Hong Kong right now with how police are treating people and the rights of protesters and stuff. But the main actress, Lu Yifei, I might have butchered that name. She is standing up with the cops, with the police, and hey, everyone has their own opinions. It's just it's a dangerous look. I mean, I don't really know how you solve that problem. I'm not gonna pretend I know how to solve that problem, but essentially, you're gonna piss off somebody. You could say nothing, but someone's gonna eventually ask you your opinion on this. So like, basically like if she's on board with the Hong Kong police, who's like done terrible things to the protesters. But if she let's play this out. If she pretended she was not on their side, then then like China government would probably be on her ass about things too, which would not be good. Who is this? Jinbon did a GIF with okay, so apparently more people want me to take off my shirt, but I'm sorry, people. That's like this is a PG. It's a PG show. I don't know why. I mean, I've gained more weight. So is this a thing where people are into dad bods these days? I guess. All right. So next thing, the E3 fuck up. So E3, huge convention or a conference every year. It's the one thing that's kind of been shifting all through the years, but that's the day that's like we're dropping all of this game knowledge on people. That's that conference. And huge fuck up in the sense that they released the names and addresses of all their vendors. And, E3's been kind of going downhill for a very long time. And it's just, it's crazy. Why would you release? And it was on a public website too. They didn't even try to hide. They didn't even try to hide any of this information from people. The people could literally just do a couple clicks and click, boom, Tongue Law, here's my address, boom, and then, and that's terrible because people need to have their own privacy, of course, but like, people, YouTubers and contractors or people who work independently, that's like they don't put their work address in there, they put their personal address. And if you're a big personality who has controversial opinions, then people are going to try to find you and fuck with you, and that's not cool. So that people are saying it might be the end of E3 finally. That would be a shame in some cases, but this is terrible. I mean, they're going to get sued out of the wazoo about this. So that's that for gaming. The politicians, I don't remember what that is. I wrote that down as a note. Usually when I see like a trailer or news story, I'm like, that might be good for Talking Tongue. I basically just put it to my note and don't think about it. Let's see, the politicians. Oh, has Ben Platt? This is probably why I know it, is because Laura probably sent this to me and be like, oh, Ben Platt's in this thing. Oh, this looks good. I remember this. This is I want to say it's like I don't want to pretend. Ben Platt's in it. It looks kind of cool. And that's all I have to say about that. The Bombshell movie, that trailer release, that one is over the Fox News allegations against Roger Ailes, who was the former CEO of Fox News, starring Charlize Theron, who looks completely different, which she always like does a huge body transformation through movies. Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie. So all-star cast. Looks, well, I mean, the teaser is the teaser, but that's a star-studded cast right there. Let's see here. My news is all over the place here. Let's go to music for a second. I never talk about music. The new Taylor Swift album came out. Love her. And I don't have much to say except that I really, really like it. That's it. Guilty pleasure, Taylor Swift, I guess. I mean, isn't it okay nowadays? I mean, I know there was a big, like, oh, you can't like any female, or especially Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is like, oh, you like, it's like saying, hey, I like Justin Bieber. It's like, oh, you like Justin Bieber? Ooh, you shouldn't like that. But hey, her music's catchy, okay? Sue me. Sue me. I like it. It's really good. Yeah, I have a couple favorites. So if you want my hot take on Taylor Swift, I could have added this as one category. We could have listened to the entire album. No, they'd probably take it down. Taylor would have sent her goons to take down me trying to stream her album. But listen to it, it's really good. Breaking Bad, the El Camino trailer is out. For those of you are Breaking Bad fans, like it's been like, what, 10 years since Breaking Bad has been out? I could have made that up. It could have been shorter or longer, but it's been a long time. And it follows the events of Aaron Paul's character, Jesse Pinkman, and trailer doesn't give too much away. For those of you who are like, oh, should I watch the trailer? I'm not sure, but I just watch it. It's good. And it comes out October 11th, so super soon. Super soon. The King. I actually didn't watch the trailer. Another Timothée Chalamet movie, and all I know is there was a Twitter Twitter moment where it was just like hashtag thirsty Robert Pattinson hair. Like, people are thirsty for his hair because he looks super good. It's really long. So yeah, there you go. If you want to see Robert Pattinson with longer hair, then watch the King trailer. The Joker trailer just hit yesterday, so I'm happy I'm doing this episode today rather than earlier, because that looks really good. It looks really good. People are really pumped about it, and I hope finally DC can, just throw us a bone, make a good movie, and make a nice dark movie. Like, go back to Dark Knight days. It's gonna be a completely different take on the Joker, obviously, and it's fine because it's just a singular movie, so it doesn't have to tie into any universe or something. Just make a good movie. It's all we ask for, and I'm very excited. A couple more things today. It hit Matthew McConaughey is a professor now, University of Texas. That's cool. All right. World of Warcraft has hit out. For those of you who are PodCavern fans and followers and originals, you'll know that I've been playing World of Warcraft, and I kind of like it. You could follow PodCavern Play, as we stream on Facebook all the time about that. And I'm not going to play forever. I just really wanted to dip my toes back in there, but it has all the good things that I remember about it and all the bad things too. So I get what I pay for, I guess. A couple more news stories here, and Disney Plus had a litany of news stories, and I'll run through them all. We won't spend too long on them, but Disney Plus, November 12th, $7 a month in Canada. You can buy this Founders Edition or whatever, but you have to buy into 3 years. So they want you end up saving like almost $150 a year. In total, but you have to pay into 3 years, that's a lot of money. So for those of you who are like, I need this Disney machine in me, then that's probably for you. For me, I'm just like, everything looks so good, but I might have to do a thing where I like cancel my Netflix subscription 1 month and renew my Disney Plus subscription 1 month. Depends what's out, right? Like I'm gonna have to juggle them now. There's too many subscriptions out there. But here's the other things that they announced for it. I mean, the Lady and the Tramp trailer came out. They're doing a High School Musical, the musical show. The Mandalorian trailer came out. Looks really good. Noelle, that trailer came out. It's a Christmas movie. Pretty soon for Christmas, so I don't know why they're plugging Christmas right now, but has Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader, so that's a funny pair. The World According to Jeff Goldblum, with Jeff Goldblum, of course, and that guy's a hoot and super strange, so I assume it's going to be really weird. Encore with Kristen Bell, something about like getting High School Musical cast together to like do a number or like talk about the good old days from high school. Toy Story 4's Forky gets a show. It's like a mini series, 10 episodes, where it's like I think they're gonna be like short episodes where Forky asks a question. So you ask him, what is time, what is cheese, what is love, what is lamp, and he would answer in his adorable Forky self. And a couple of, like Lizzie McGuire. So Hilary Duff's coming back. I mean, she hasn't been working for a while, right? Like, so why not cash in that paycheck? Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor's coming back. Star Wars Clone Wars, a prequel to Rogue One. All these things, so much news coming out from D23. So that could have been its own news story, but I mean, I don't want to talk by myself about that kind of stuff. I need someone to feed off of and really shoot the shit with, like bounce ideas off of and be really geek out. And then we have like a 5-hour podcast on our hand. Then we have the Sony Disney breakup, which is at this point older news. So I won't spend too long on it, but basically it looks pretty certain. If you haven't heard this already, then that's insane. But essentially Sony and Disney are breaking up, where Disney wanted more money for Spider-Man, basically, and Sony didn't even try to renegotiate. They're like, no, we're good. We're going to take Spider-Man back. So Spider-Man no longer in the MCU. Looks like it's pretty much a sure thing. And that's it was like going through a breakup. Honestly, I was up and down, being like, no, this can't be happening. No, they have to get back together, right? They're fucking with us. It was quite juicy reality TV, except for the fact that it really seems like the Marvel MCU people are really going to miss out on Spider-Man and Tom Holland. Tom Holland will still continue to play Spider-Man. All those characters that we've seen will, be in there, except anyone related to the MCU. Like, goodbye. So maybe we'll see Venom in Spider-Man now, but I mean, like, come on. Like, I just this that it bums me out. I don't want to get into it. And then shortly after, they released the Matrix 4 that Keanu Reeves was going to be in Matrix 4. And, like, that was completely overshadowed by the Spider-Man news. And I'm like, for me, I don't even need a Matrix. And I don't need another Matrix movie. There's one good Matrix movie, okay Matrix movie, and a Matrix, and two really bad Matrix movies. So we don't need that. But they're saying Keanu Reeves wouldn't come back unless the script was good. But hey, he did come back for the other three, so who knows? Who knows? It's the year of Keanu Reeves. And I just wrote a last note here that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you haven't seen it yet, that came at the tail end of last month. I like touched on it really quickly. Go see that movie. It's so good. It's really long, but every movie is really long ever since Endgame. Like It Chapter 2 is supposed to be like 3 hours now, so like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something ridiculous. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is very good. All right, let's get into the meat of the show here. I'm going to take a sip of water because carrying this conversation on my own is really tough. And again, people at home, Facebook live streamers right now, I know you're listening or seeing this. I see like at least 500 people watching this right now. If you're one of the 500 and just want to say hi, don't be shy. Just say hi. All right, let's talk about the episode. We're talking about today's episode is brought to you by they're not sponsored. They're not sponsoring us. But today's episode is Hobbs and Shaw, the boys, and good boys. So boys, lots of boy power. I mean, if you look at these posters in front of me here, yeah, it is. I mean, for being boys, you would expect all boys, but at least, there is 20% of women in these three posters combined, which is not great. But hey, it's a boys themed month, not on purpose. It just so happens to be the three hottest things that came out this month. Actually, The Boys itself came out last month, but it's so good that I have to have it in this episode. All right. So let's pull some stuff up. Let's pull the old window capture up and take off your shirt. What is this? James Beatty, anniversary follower. He also told me take off my shirt. This is intense. Might have to. How about this? Every time I get through a segment, I will remove an R. I don't know if I want to make promises. Maybe I'll take off my shirt, okay? I just feels weird to do a podcast on your own and also take off your shirt. You perverts out there. All right, let's get into it. We're talking about Hobbs and Shaw. Okay. And the beauty, ladies and gentlemen, of live editing is sometimes you're clicking buttons and things aren't working. So now it's working. Okay, excellent. This screen is a little in my way. Let's shorten that up. And we'll play the thing. So I want to try to talk about these movies differently because I feel like you're not here to just hear the plot of the movie. But I will say, did I enjoy it? Yes, I really did. I come to Fast and the Furious movies because I want a dumb, fun time that just is an ability for me to just shut off my brain, and that's what I got. So I was really happy about it. I mean, they're leaning way more into like superhero type stuff. I mean, this could be a crossover to a Marvel movie in a lot of ways, but I mean, Idris Elba himself is like a super soldier. He can scan people and see their weaknesses and stuff like that. It's quite ridiculous. But let's see here. I wrote a couple notes. If you're not a big fan, here's something that I was just thinking about lately, and it's been coming up a lot. Maybe it's a lot of podcasts I've been inspired from, but I just feel like it's so hard to make a successful movie nowadays in this day and age. People have a hard enough time going to the theaters. People are assholes at theaters. I've talked about that a bunch. People who use cell phones and stuff, and like that take calls during movies and talk, and it's awful. But I like going to the movies. But if you're not and a big IP like a Marvel movie or Fast and the Furious, or you have the brand recognition of like Jordan Peele for Us or Seth Rogen for like say Good Boys, then it's gonna be hard to make it. Like this summer compared to last year, even though we had huge movies that came out, like say Aladdin and Endgame and Fast Hobbs and Shaw, all these big movies, it was still down 2% from last year, and 2% may not seem like a lot, but it's millions and millions of dollars. So go to the movies. That's all I'm trying to say. But also, like, yes, it's tough because it's almost like, why am I gonna make a movie if it's all gonna be basically the same pool and type of movie? But here's the thing: if they continue to make like awesome movies like this, then I'm sorry. I love indie movies. Don't get me wrong. I think there's definitely room in the world for original movies. But Hobbs and Shaw's a lot of fun. Let's see here. Box office. Hang on. I feel like someone's messaging in chat. Yeah, more people wanted me to take off my shirt. Here we go. Or like Eric Cherapy, hello anniversary follower. Hey Tung La, hi Eric Cherapy. There we go. At least one person who doesn't want me to take off my shirt. Hi Eric. What else do we got here? Okay, Alex Neo, give me a shout out. Alex Neo, this guy, I'm giving him a shout out because he's watching right now. Alex, thank you for watching right now. Love you, buddy. Alex is the most jacked and chiseled god of a man that I know. If you follow his Facebook page, it's like Alex Neo, fitness, nutrition, something like that. Look up Alex Neo, you'll find it. Inspirational guy, love that guy. Joseph Adelman, shirts being took off. Joseph Adelman, friend of the show, and it looks like he wants me to take off my. You know what? Maybe it might happen. It might happen. Okay, guys. Is it because of the V-neck? I mean, I'm only showing a little bit of skin. But you know who shows a lot of skin in the game? The Rock. The Rock's always taking off his shirt, always, flexing. And that was just trying to be a segue, guys. Okay, $600 million in the box office worldwide. And comparatively, it sits around the middle of the pack for the Fast and the Furious movies. Director David Leitch, I think it's David Leitch. He did Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, credits with John Wick, and Celine Dion, Ashes. So, of course, all action movies, especially the Celine Dion movie, where famously she sings and kills an army of zombies. So that's where the ashes come from. This is the first. Mine's already off, Joseph. Joseph, I don't believe you. Please send a pic and show the people in chat that your shirt's off. Why are you even scared? I mean, Alex does it all the time, Alex Neo, of course. Or check out his Facebook page. Alex's, not Joseph. I'm not sure if Joseph has a Facebook page. Ninth movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, this is not Fast 9 or F9 of the Furious. I don't know how you make a pun out of that. They did Fate of the Furious before. Fast 9, I guess. And let me read you the synopsis, because, again, I'm not going to go through the entire plot, but ever since hulking lawman Hobbs Johnson, a loyal agent of America's Diplomatic Security Service, and lawless outcast Shaw Statham, a former British military elite operative, first faced off in 2015's Furious 7, the duo have swapped smack talk and body blows as they've tried to take each other down. But when cyber-genetically enhanced anarchist Brixton, Idris Elba, gains control of an insidious biothreat that could alter humanity forever, and bests a brilliant and fearless rogue MI6 agent, the Crown's Vanessa Kirby, who just happens to be Shaw's sister, these two sworn enemies will have to partner up to bring down the only guy who might be better than themselves. Wow. Now that's a mouthful right there. This movie's really long, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned this. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes, which is really long for an action movie. That's, action movies, I like it to be short, quippy, and fast. And there's a lot of that in this movie, but there's also a second, third act in the movie where you're like, ah, this must be the conclusion of the movie. And then they're like, nope, the hero's done one that time. Let's get them ramped up once again to go face the bad guys. So that's that movie. The movie's kind of structured weirdly, but again, it's a lot of fun. My thoughts on the Fast franchise is that like it's changed so much. Before it was so. I mean, the first couple of Fast and Furious movies are kind of hard to watch. The first one's still good, but they're all like completely different. Like it used to be about street racing, and really small scale stuff. I mean, they didn't used to be world saving people and lots of guns and well, there's some guns, but there wasn't. It was just like let's race with nitrous and see who wins on like a dirt track and back of the road type of. The it's not like an official arena racetrack. Just like oh, let's just make a quasi racetrack and use like non-official cars in this race. It was way different. But then of course Fast Five hit and Dwayne Johnson was the big star of that and he changed the game. He really did. I mean, he changed the franchise and now obviously the spin-offs happened and Tyrese Gibson was really mad about that. But Vin Diesel seems to have squashed his beef with The Rock, so they're continuing allowed to make these spin-offs, I think. But again, like after Fast Five, it was the landscape of these movies changed. It became much more fun action comedy movie. Oh, this is the most comedy of the Fast movies. I mean, the other ones are quippy and cool, but this one's just like there's a lot of jokes happening, especially with the two main leads and the chemistry between these leads. Statham and Johnson is awesome. You can tell they really get along and they're having a lot of fun on set. But let's see. Yeah, the main focus of this movie for me was coming in and being like, I want to see a movie where I basically want to see the most ridiculous Fast and Furious movie ever. Like, basically, show me a motorcycle coming up the side of the building while, like, the building has shotgun arms shooting at, like, The Rock and Jason Statham. And then it ends up where, like, they shoot this motorcycle into, like, a fighter jet plane and explodes everything and maybe explodes, like, a crystal that so happens to be, I don't know, world-shattering important, and it stops the bad guy. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think we need to start swinging Dwayne Johnson into other well-established franchises. James, that is amazing idea. I'm gonna go ahead and say you deserve an Oscar for that idea, and you deserve a point for the shirt takeoff. That's right. That we're on a point basis now for me taking off my shirt. How many points do I need? Who knows? I think I've kind of all over the place right now, but I talk about the chemistry between the leads and the main poster highlights Johnson and Statham, but I really want to stress Vanessa Kirby is essentially her name should be on the poster. Honestly, she should be in the front of the poster because this duos movie turns out to really be a trio movie, and I've never watched The Crown. I saw MI6 or MI5, Mission Impossible 5, the last one, where Vanessa Kirby was in there. It's the first time I saw her, and I'm like, oh, she seems like a cool, badass, femme fatale, whatever, action hero. But in this movie, she is so cool, and I don't know, she's cool, she's sexy, she is quick, she is charismatic on screen. She is really, whenever she's on screen, she steals the show in a lot of cases because she's so badass, and she fits right in with the other two leads, the two leads that this movie is about. So like it's a really perfect chemistry between all three. And James wants another point. Here you go. You get another point. I guess, is that what you mean by another one? Another shirt off point. Let's see. The movie, yes, it is over top, but there's no shotgun buildings or whatever like that. But there is a scene where The Rock basically bicep curls, a la Captain America, a helicopter, and it's fucking awesome. We have some cameos in the movie. Again, spoilers, but I mean, you should watch this movie if you haven't. If you're interested, I think you should go see it. I won't spoil. I mean, what am I really spoiling about this movie? To be honest, Ryan Reynolds is in this movie, Rob Delaney, and Kevin Hart, which make really funny cameos. Yeah, I can't remember all the action scenes because it's been a long time, but there is the scene. there is a lot of cool ones, of course, and high adrenaline, high intensity, but there is hilarious cuts in this movie where they're like, we don't care, just have fun with this. Where the movie goes from like daytime chase to nighttime to like rainstorm in a span of like 5 minutes. It is baffling that scene, but it's really funny. It really speaks to this franchise being like, you know what, we can just do whatever. I mean, there's a scene right there that just passed in the video where The Rock is in his like, I don't want to be offensive, so he basically looks like Maui, and dives into his roots, his cultural roots, and he just kicks ass with like a boomerang, like a ivory boomerang, and it's funny. Um, let's see. At the end of the day, it's all about family. That's what the Fast franchise is all about, baby. So there's definitely room for more sequels in this franchise. And you know what? I don't even know if they need Vin Diesel and the rest of the people like Tyrese Gibson. Like I don't know if that's necessary to make a successful franchise, because obviously this movie did really well, and there's probably going to be a Hobbs and Shaw too. Okay. All right, that is my spiel on Hobbs and Shaw. Let's check the chat. No, another Oscar. Oh, you already have an Oscar. What Oscar do you have, my friend? Share the love. Share the love, please. Um, let's see here. We're gonna go into another movie. No, TV show. A little something something called The Boys. And I'm gonna have another sip while you guys chat in the chat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a lot of talking going on. That's why, if you ever want to be a Talkin' Tongue guest, hell, a PodCavern guest, hit me up. Or if you're an existing PodCavern guest like James Beatty, I'm going to call you out, James, come back on the podcast. I want you back. I want all of you to be on podcasts. I want all of you to speak your truth. Speak your truth. So that way we can speak about nerdy stuff like The Boys. Okay, so The Boys, based off the graphic novel from Garth Ennis, who notably did Preacher, which is another Seth Rogen joint, Punisher Max, Hellblazer, and other stuff. Really mature, violent type of shows. Or graphic novels. Let's see here. Best show of 2019. Bold statement, Eric Cherapy. But I like it. Thought it, and then Joseph Adelman thought it was going to be Tuca and Birdie for sure. What is this, boys? What is this, boys? And then, of course, James Beatty says, oh boy, give me one more chance. Name a topic. You're going to be there. Joseph, I'm really sorry. I'm talking to everybody in chat. I'm sorry. I'm getting off track. Joseph, please come back for a podcast. I know you just moved away once again, but come back for a podcast. James, come back for a podcast. Eric, I know you live far, but if you want to talk about stuff like The Boys, awesome show, then I would love to have you. Creator of the shows, Eric Kripke, Evan Goldberg, and Seth Rogen, and the rest of those Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are going to be in my next topic that I'm going to talk about as well. Synopsis: a group of vigilantes set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpower. So in this world, it's basically like, all right, superheroes are still doing the superhero thing on the outside. They're still saving the world. They're still doing the small deeds. They're still showing up for events and smiling and pretending everything's okay. Stopping trains and fighting the bad guys. But what you really miss out on, and in this universe, they're all kind of selfish assholes. Most of the superheroes in this show are doing it for a really selfish reason. Like, they're very powerful, but they're like really big assholes who behind the scenes like don't give a shit about the regular people, and they're doing it for ratings. And like Vought, the parent company of this entire thing, like orchestrates basically crimes, and if it's not caught on TV, then who cares? It's all about ratings. They're really awful people. Superheroes, if superheroes were corrupt assholes. Yes, thank you. And this show's on Amazon Prime, by the way. So if you don't have Prime, this is a reason to get Amazon Prime. Like their listings have been growing exponentially. And James and Eric, since you're on the chat right now, if you have anything to say about The Boys, please please chime in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But this is, yes, in a world where superheroes, people are burning out on it, like maybe not me because I fucking love superheroes, but this was a super original story for me anyways. And actually I had a chance on humblecomics.com, Humble Bundle, to buy all of the boys comics for charity for $15. But I was looking at it, I'm like, $15? Ugh, I can like a lot of Garth Ennis's work. I could have got like this whole package for $15, and I'm like, $15. I mean, oh man, I could use $15 on anything, like a sandwich or something. So, and I'm kicking myself because after watching the show, I'm like, oh god, it's so stupid. Why did I not get this? I really really love this show. It's only 8 episodes, which I really like. I think a lot of series should just be 8 episodes. It really respects your time in that way. And let's see, it was the first Prime, well, one of the few Prime shows where I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Having Prime makes sense. So lots of good Prime shows. Documental, if you haven't seen it before, go watch that. The cast. I actually did not bring up the cast list, which is my bad. I was going to do that and I completely forgot. But I want to say, in fact, I might do it right now. Let's look it up. Let's look it up together. Cast list. The Boys cast. I think we have to really shout out these people too, because there's not a lot of huge names except for Carl Urban, who is the hugest name in all of this, who does an awesome job as Butcher, and he's such a big, like, a guy who he knows he's a bad guy. Like, he's actually in a lot of ways worse than the other bad guys who are the superheroes, and like there's basically everyone in the show is bad to some extent, but Carl Urban is not a superhero. He's just someone who he's on a revenge quest, and he doesn't give a shit about anybody else until he basically goes after the Superman of this universe, which is Homelander. But he has a really awesome performance in this. Probably my favorite Carl Urban performance, really, truly. It lost me in the first episode. Wait. Oh, James, please. I'm sorry, I was just reading this. It lost me in the first episode. I'm getting sick of shows where the bad things happen to people. Auntie is up every 5 minutes. No. James, watch this show. Please. Please. You gotta. Because Eric, the bit about the Spice Girls had me rolling. Yes, me too. Anthony Starr, let's talk about it. That's one of my talking points today, is Anthony Starr, the guy who plays Homelander, which is this universe's Superman, is incredible. It is one of the most interesting performances I've seen. It's so simple too. Like, it's like, why didn't I think of this? I could have sold this for millions. But it's basically Anthony Starr comes in being like Captain America in a lot of ways. You can see that in his cape, where he's just like, I'm all about justice, and no, it's all you people who are the best people. Like, hey, listen, you're the people who are saved. I'm just Homelander. It's all you. But in the inside, like, the other flip side of him is he just changes his expression from this to this, and he just goes psycho killer, doesn't give a shit about anybody else, and he just, it is such a great performance, the way he just switches his personality on a dime, and truly my favorite performance of this whole show here. Erin Moriarty, I know her for Kings of Summer, great movie, and it's so great that Erin Moriarty has this, like, is coming up, especially with this show being so popular. I mean, they already started filming season 2, so awesome. She is fantastic, and she is really the only good person in this whole show. And we have Jack Quaid, who plays the main character Huey, who's also, I've never really seen anything that he's been in, but he also has a performance where you're like, he is totally plays the everyday man who's just getting sucked into this world of revenge, essentially. The first 5 minutes of the show, his girlfriend gets run over by a superhero, just like this series Flash, where it just runs right through his girlfriend. Have you looked up how the comics are? They changed a lot, dialed back the really crazy stuff from the course material. Really smart change. I want to see what they do with Black Noir. Interesting. No, I have not dug into the comics. That's interesting. Maybe I'll watch the series first before. Maybe I'll read the comics now that I know they changed some stuff. But yes, I did notice. I was expecting ultra violence in the show, and there is definitely some spots where there's some ultra violence going on. But for the most part, like it's pretty well spread out, and for a show about superheroes, you don't see too much hand-to-hand combat action crazy stuff. Like some of the best parts of the show is truly the fucked up characters and their motivations, coming from the boys, like the good guys in this show, but also the seven, who are the good guys, the superhero good guys, but they're actually bad guys. Like it's, yeah, it's so hard to explain. But the show is really about, Carl Urban trying to take down these soups, as they call them. It's maybe not for everyone, but the boys is very boy centric. Of course, it's called The Boys, and I can see, and I've heard this already, that some females don't like this show, or it's not for them. And that's fair. I mean, there is a lot of violence going on. It does seem catered for boys, but when I was watching it, I really was impressed on how, I mean, this is a boy's perspective, so like take it as you will, but I was really impressed at how well they treated their females too. In Starlight, Erin Moriarty's character, but a lot of the females in the show are like strong. Although there is one female, although I'm sure it's in the comic, which one of the boys is an Asian girl, and she doesn't talk once. So I guess that's by design. But yeah, I thought, I think anyways, that this show has a little bit for everybody, especially because in a world of like Marvel and DC comics where you worship these heroes, it's a really cool twist to see, like, what if these heroes were jerks? And they do a really good job with that thesis there. So, and that's The Boys. I don't want to get too much into it. If you haven't watched it already, James, especially you, go watch The Boys. So good. Look, I'm gonna pause on these guys right now. Like all these people that you see in front of you, it's great. It's great. I'm not gonna shout at every star because I don't know them, but really, Erin Moriarty's character and Anthony Starr, Homelander, is reason enough to just watch this, and Carl Urban, of course. Okay, what do we have here? Tongue language. Dude, the airplane scene. I know. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Homelander does a crazy thing with an airplane scene, and the I won't spoil it, but it's basically like, should I save these people? That's the theme of that scene. So, all right, moving on. Okay, we're crushing this, guys. We're crushing this, and thank you for the audience interaction over there. I love it, love it. Last thing I want to talk about is Good Boys. I'm telling you, it's a boys episode. All right, so let's get into the Good Boys here. And for those of you who haven't seen it or don't know anything about it, it is produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Like I said, it's an original comedy made by those two, directed by Gene Stupnitsky. I had to write it down. Who also did Hello Ladies, that HBO show with Stephen Merchant, Bad Teacher that had Cameron Diaz, and Year One when it had Jack Black and Michael Cera. And when I first looked at it, and when people were trying to, like, when I didn't know anything about this movie coming in. Well, I know I saw a bit of the trailers, but basically it looked like the kids' version of Superbad, which is not too far off, but I think that's selling it short. Because I think it's a lot more original. Well, I think there's a lot of originality to this movie that's not just like, let's just do all the famous parts about Superbad, but in a kid's movie. Here's the plot. Invited to his first kissing party, 12-year-old Max, kissing party, that's right. 12-year-old Max asks his best friend Lucas and Thor for some much-needed help on how to pucker up. Yes, one of the kids' name is Thor. They never mention any of that. It's just like, to me, I'm like, that's genius. Like, you call him Thor. In his room, you see no Marvel anything. It's just like, it's like calling someone Scarlet Witch. No, that's a bit far. But anyways, some calling like your son Hulk, or like, and it's like, oh, of course, we live in this world where we name our children after these famous movie icons or comic book characters. Why not? People call him Thor. Nobody even blinks an eye. When they hit a dead end, Max decides to use his father's drone to spy on teenage girls next door. When the boys lose the drone, they skip school and hatch a plan to retrieve it before Max's dad can figure out what happened. I want to see Good Boys. Kirsten, you should see Good Boys. It's really funny. Okay, Kirsten, go see Good Boys. And James, you see Good Boys and The Boys. Okay? That's your homework. For the next episode, you better come back in. Tell me that you've seen it. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this film, honestly. The 12-year-old Max, played by Jacob Tremblay. Actually, Jacob Tremblay is 13 now. Actually, let me run through the main three characters. Jacob Tremblay, The Room, from Room fame, with Brie Larson. He plays like the horny kid who gets invited to the party. Keith L. Williams, he was from Last Man on Earth. Also a Will Forte joint. He's only 12 years old, and he's like the rule follower. He doesn't like to break the rules. And Brady Noon, who starred in Boardwalk Empire. And he's like the try-hard and a musical lover and the one who wants to sing all the time. But there is a type of comedy in this movie that's been done before. It's not like this hasn't been done before, but in this movie it's very earnest, and it's surprisingly like, I don't know, the feeling you get from watching this movie is like these kids are actually good boys. Like they are trying to be good boys. Yes, they're swearing, but like the worst that anyone says to anybody is an insult from the boys. Like they say fuck and stuff like that. Obviously they do their F-bombs, but like to each other, like, oh, you're so random. Like like calling someone random is like the biggest insult these kids throw at each other. So it's funny. Do they think they have it playing in Stars and Strollers? No, I don't think they'll have this playing in Stars and Strollers. Although they should. I mean, like, if you have these 12, 13-year-olds playing these kids, why not? But as you can see in the video that you just saw, they just locked that door with this giant dildo. So there's lots of, like, F-bombs and BDSM gear and random stuff. But it's like these kids honestly and earnestly discovering, interacting with these adult things, like them accidentally looking at a porn website, or them accidentally looking at like this tampon, for example. And it's a surprisingly touching movie too. There's like a good amount of heart. But what I wanted to say, of course it's funny. I was going to say it's funny, but obviously it's a comedy. The charm of this movie is they lean heavily on the naivety of these kids, and I think that just goes a long way. So I think I just made that point before, but I really want to hammer that home, is that if you play these kids as straight as possible and make them, this early on in the movie, it's just like being like, oh, you took a sip of beer, ooh, you're a badass. Like that's what a kid would do. It's not these kids actually getting drunk. It's like they're like, oh my god, he's drinking beer, like that's so cool. Like they call themselves the Beanbag Boys. They're very literal. That's their club name. It's because they literally sit on bean bags. And what I really enjoy about this movie is that it's in and out. Like it's an hour and a half. It is a movie that respects your time, makes you laugh, doesn't overstay its welcome, does what it wants to do, and then it ends. And it was one of my favorite movie experience because of that. Because like a lot of movies don't respect your time. They're just like so long. Like Endgame, of course, I'll sit through Endgame all that time for. But like Hobbs and Shaw, for example, that movie had no business being 2 hours and basically 20 minutes. Like, what's that about? This movie, hour and 30 minutes, that's it. You get that, you're good to go. The chemistry between these boys are endearing. The kids in this movie aren't the cool ones, but that's fine. They're kind of like the nerdy ones, except for Jacob Tremblay's character, who's like kind of getting invited to be part of the cool group. What I like is they aren't trying to be dicks with people. They're trying to just be themselves, the most themselves they can be. I mean, there is a scene where like someone's just like, ooh, you're signing up for the musical? Whoa, like that's lame. But in the movie it's presented like in other like high school movies, like, oh, that's lame because it's like presented as very feminine. It's like, oh, you want to be part of the musical, like that's so feminine, like basically, right? Or that's not what a boy should do. In this movie, he signs up for the musical and the guy's saying it's lame, but only because it's like, oh, you're trying to do another thing in your life, like, oh, you have a hobby, that's lame. Like it's kind of like a different message because it's coming from like a kid's perspective. Of course, this leads to a crazy adventure where, let's see, they stumble upon like this blackmail scheme with the drone. I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but there's like, drugs. Obviously, it's a Seth Rogen joint, so of course it's gonna be something to do with drugs and taking drugs and all that kind of stuff. A frat house showdown, which is my favorite part of the movie. I won't spoil it, although it involves paintball. Very funny, very great. Just watch this movie. It is super good. And like, there is an earnest scene where Keith L. Williams' character is explaining why drugs is bad to a group of teenagers, and it's not played as in like, it's just played very earnestly. Like I just keep going back to that word. It's just like, no, I'm a kid. Drugs are bad. They told us drugs are bad. So why are you doing it, you idiot? That kind of stuff. And I wrote a thing here where it says maybe not as memorable as some of the other like Seth Rogen movies, like let's say Superbad or Pineapple Express, or to a lesser extent Sausage Party. But I think there's definitely a room for this movie in its pantheon of stuff, and I thought it was done with stoner comedies. And then turns out, like, if they do it in this way, where there's like a nice message, some real heart to the way these kids play these characters, then it's fine. Like, this movie was a delight, and I think you should all see it. All right, and that is gonna do it for this week's episode. Of course, there is some other things I want to talk about, like, I hope you all had a great summer, first of all. I hope you are all enjoying your time. It sucks that September is rolling around because that means it's going to get colder. I mean, that means winter is slowly creeping back into our lives. But of course, we take it a month at a time at Talkin Tuong and for this show. So thank you for everyone in the chat who's been chatting around. I have a couple things that I want to mention in September that's coming up that I'm just excited for. Maybe for next month's episode, we have It Chapter 2. So the sequel to It that came out 2 years ago. Now the grown up versions. I very excited for that, although I've heard mixed things. That's okay. Still excited. 21 Bridges, which is I think Chadwick Boseman's the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. The Black Panthers the Chadwick Boseman's, I think, kind of real breakout solo movie in the way that it's just like, okay, this guy did one really good movie that everyone recognizes him in. Can he do a movie that's not Black Panther and succeed? Let's find out. Borderlands 2 comes out fairly soon. So I've talked about playing World of Warcraft. Nerd. But I'll be switching gears and playing Borderlands 2 soon. So like I'm back in this, like, I've done a lot of weddings in the summer. I have a small little break between all that stuff and between podcasting. So finally I get to actually play video games, which is very refreshing for me. Gears 5, for those of you who are Gears of War fans, I played one of them. I liked it. I don't have an Xbox, so that's coming out. Link's Awakening, the remake to the original Link's Awakening, is coming out on the Switch too. So those are things that I'm looking forward to. And let's check the chat one last time. That's a shame. That's a shame that people are leaving because I was just about to take off my shirt. You know what? I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better because and people who did not ask for this, people who are just joining in the chat right now, I just have to say, people have been asking all podcasts for me to take off my shirt, and I'm gonna do a half. All right, I'll do a flash. The Aladdin. Laura hates this because I try to do my shirt as the Aladdin, and that's me doing a half takeoff here. I can't do all the way. You have to join in next time, next Talking Tongue, for me to do the full the full nudity. All right, so I feel uncomfortable just flashing Facebook this there and talking to myself on this podcast. But hey, it's fun. We have fun here in the PodCavern, of course. Kirsten, James, thank you for egging me on. Laura, I blame you for starting this. And thanks again. I'll see you next time on another episode of Talking Tongue. Bye. Boo, boo.